Hello everybody. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing another art experiment video where I'm going to be using a new medium that I've never used before. And in this video here, I'm going to be using gouache. And this here is, I believe, sort of a cross between sort of a watercolor and an acrylic paint. So I'm really interested into using this. I've seen some videos online of people using gouache and they come out with some amazing pieces of artwork. So what I'm going to do is first, before I get into a big art piece, is I want to see how this medium sort of works. So what we're going to go through is I'm going to talk about how this medium sort of works and how I'm finding it. So with all that out of the way, let's get into this video. Alright, so what I've done here is I've gotten out my sketchbook and I'm just going to come in with a quick sort of painting with this gouache for the very first time. And what I'm going to do is sort of talking a little bit of how I find this medium to work with. So the first thing I notice here is that if you thin it right down, it sort of behaves very similar to a watercolor. And if you keep it sort of more out of the tube, it is very hard and very close to using like sort of an acrylic paint. So it's really interesting. And with mixing it in with a little bit of water at a time to thin out, whether you want a thicker or a thinner result, it can actually come out quite interesting in terms of giving you a lot of variety to work with. So I was quite interested in using this, and one of the things that I seen a lot when I was looking online about what gouache was when I brought it in the art supply shop that I got this from here, is that I noticed when I was looking at doing something with it, a lot of people online use it for doing sort of backgrounds and scenery and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, I'll try and go along with that, and you can see here just how quickly it works in terms of doing that. So what I tried to do is just make a simple little scene, giving it something nice and easy to work with there. And one thing that I did definitely notice is that when you thin it down, it does become very watercolor like and thin. But because you have that flexibility of not thinning it down so much, it can become very opaque, or even when you come straight out of the tube, in my case, is that it is very, very opaque, even probably a little bit more so than a acrylic paint. And one thing I noticed, it maybe just because of the cheaper quality of the acrylic paint I was using, I had a quick little test with an acrylic paint as well, is that when you add just a touch of water with the gouache, it doesn't leave so many streaking marks in it, and it gives like a smoother sort of blend. So you can really blend out your colors if you wanted to, working thinner and thinner and turning it into that more watercolor consistency, and you can blend those together quite nicely. So that's what I was finding quite interesting, just using it on this little test that I have here. So what we're going to do now is that I've had this little bit of a play around as a test, is I'm going to go into a full sort of illustration and really sort of spending a little bit of time and getting to know this medium and going full on with it and seeing how I enjoy it. So let's get into that proper final artwork and illustration. Okay, so one of the first things I wanted to test out when doing this final piece is that I wanted to see if you thinned it way down and you come in with a big brush and you give it, you know, nice big wide brush strokes, how well does it hold up in terms of like the massive sort of streakiness, the color and things like that. Because one thing I found out with watercolor is that it breaks apart and gets very, very thin. I know that's the intention of the medium there, but when I was trying to do an artwork beforehand, I tried to do a background, I sort of misjudged how thin it goes out and how temperate, and then when you add on a more color to it, it sort of instantly stains it a darker color. Whereas when I noticed with adding more to the actual piece with the gouache, it keeps the same consistency, so you can sort of blend them together really nice and easily, and you can work from dark to light and light to dark in just terms of how I was doing the entire piece overall that I'm doing here, and it wasn't sort of interfering too much. I think that's because since gouache can be so opaque, where if you apply it just like the tube, like I am doing with these clouds here, is that when you apply it just on the tube, it just becomes very sort of thick and matte and very sort of like a clumpy sort of texture that you can manipulate around and have it very much like a really thick bodied paint, which is really cool. So I really do like how versatile this is. I must say, I was really enjoying that I have been lately is using watercolors, and I've really been enjoying that. But I must say, just doing this small test, because I only did the, as you've seen, the little test subject before, and then this piece here, in terms of recording this video, so I haven't used the medium too much. But just in this short time between these two pictures, I must say I really do enjoy using gouache, and the amount of versatility it has. It's really, really interesting and neat. That you can go from such dark, vibrant, sort of really saturated colors to really thinned out, almost watercolor light if you want to thin it out super much. And since I'm sort of a sort of beginner artist as well, it's a little bit more forgiving, I think, than watercolors, because when it was drying out on the page and then I tried to go over to try blend the colors together, watercolor sort of doesn't let you do that too well, and I was sort of struggling with it and leaving like streak marks and stuff like that, whereas gouache doesn't sort of seem to have as big a problem with that, because you can blend it together. And one thing I did actually notice too is that if you come over with a wet brush, you can sort of slightly reactivate it as well, so you can get those blends in a bit further if you wanted to. Even when the paint is pretty much completely dry, you can still sort of interact with it a little bit, and I think that's really, really cool. So you can really get a sort of more of a blend you're after, or more of a textured look if you wanted to, like when I was doing this grass here, is that I came in sort of nice big wide sort of brush strokes, and then I came in sort of trying to texture it a little bit like grass, and then I noticed it was sort of, because I added so much water and things to it, it was sort of smushing together. But what I did is I waited for it to dry, and then I could come back in later on and still add in little dabs of paint by just having my brush wet and tabbing it back onto the actual paint itself and leaving in the little stroke marks to make it look like little patches of grass. And I think that's really neat and cool and versatile, and I think doing other sort of pictures and illustrations and stuff with this medium, I'll sort of get to figure it out a lot more. But I must say I'm very impressed with how gouache sort of works and seeing what it is capable of. Now, one thing with this picture here is that I sort of got a bit of a reference from the picture online. I was sort of just scrolling around for sort of background images and landscapes just online. I seen this photo that sort of resembles what I was sort of feeling at the time. I thought, hey, that might be a cool little thing. Now, I didn't copy it exactly, I just took some ideas from it, and I'm a beginner artist, so I couldn't recreate it, I don't think, if I tried. But it gave me a good jumping off point and sort of gave me an idea of how I wanted to. Mostly I used it for sort of like a layout, like how I should lay out each pieces. I'm sort of, still new to this, laying out things like that, because mostly I just, through all my life, I've only ever done a sketch on a page, and that's sort of it. I draw mainly like a character, or just, even if it is a sort of picture of background, it's only sketches on a paper, and I don't really think too much in layers, which is really strange considering I do a lot of miniature painting, and I should probably think in layers a little bit more. But for some reason, I have like two different brains, I think, when it comes to doing my miniature painting and my artwork that I'm doing here. Is that when I'm doing my miniature painting, that I do think in layers and stuff like that, and it's sort of transferring those skills to my artwork, is because I've spent all my life only ever sort of sketching with a pencil and never using any other medium other than that. Maybe occasionally I would use colored pencil, is that I haven't sort of figured out for myself thinking in layers in terms of that sort of thing to really help enhance my artwork. But I think this is what is really helping me out on my art journey, is going between my miniature painting and my artwork here, is that it's giving me sort of some crossover skills and giving me a little bit better of how to think about each thing. It's also trying these new mediums is keeping me super excited and giving me inspiration to keep on going as well. I've definitely never done artwork for as long as this before. Usually I do a sketch or two once, maybe twice a year it was for a little while there, and just when I got the inspiration. But now with trying out a whole bunch of new mediums, it gives me inspiration, and it makes me go, well, I want to give that a try, I want to give this a try, I want to add new things. And that is why I wanted to do artwork on YouTube, is because then it would force me to get out of my comfort zone and being sort of lazy in terms of, oh yeah, I might get something, and then you sort of sit around, watch a bit of TV, watch something online, and then you sort of just forget about it. Whereas me actually having to put it out on YouTube, it forces me to sit down, do it, and actually learn a little bit of techniques, or like I am here, using mediums I've never ever used before. Gouache I'd never even heard about until I went into the store and I brought watercolors. I was like, I'm going to go buy a couple of different mediums here. And I brought some watercolors, I brought some acrylic paints, I brought some poster paint, which is another thing that I haven't used before as well. And I brought gouache, all in these sort of cheap packs. I thought they're nice and cheap. I can give them all a try out, because none of them were sort of over $10. So I thought, hey, if I don't like it, it's only $10 sort of wasted. So I can really see what I liked here. And I must say, one thing is I definitely was quite happy with the watercolors so far. But I think I'm more impressed with the gouache. I'm really excited and amazed at the potential this thing has. And looking around online, because one thing I want to do is I sort of had a little bit of a sorry about that, had a little bit of a idea of what to do when doing this, is I thought I need to have a look online, because I've never heard of this medium before. So I wanted to have a look at some YouTube videos, and people do some amazing artwork and with sceneries and backgrounds, and it seems to be a really good medium for that. So that's what I wanted to try here, and sort of dabble my own hand into doing some sceneries and interesting little things like that. But I could definitely see the use for everything in terms of it. And one thing I did notice with a lot of people who use gouache is they also use it in tandem with watercolors as well. So that could be an interesting thing to do. One thing I've also never done is try to sort of mix a bunch of different mediums other than sort of pencil and colored pencil. But I've never tried mixing paint and gouache, watercolors with colored pencil, with markers, anything like that. So really helping myself by stepping outside of my comfort zone, and hopefully it'll show and reflect in my artwork by leveling up my skills that much faster, because that's what I want to do. I want to level up my art skills and abilities and really get involved with art a lot more than I have over my lifetime. And I really have always loved doing artwork, but I've always been sort of too lazy to do it. And by putting it out on YouTube, which is also, I must say, still very scary, people judging your artwork and that, especially since I'm new to all these mediums and I'm not the greatest artist. I'm a beginner artist, but I want to improve myself, and that's what I'm trying to take away from this. Is I'm not focused so much on what too many people are going to say, is I want to try and improve myself, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And hopefully people will enjoy the journey along the way, as well as seeing me improve and perhaps even give me tips and things like that. For instance, like with the gouache here, with mediums that I've never used before, some people out there might have better ideas and have used this medium before and could give me some pointers along the way. So if you do have anything like that, please don't feel afraid to leave anything in the comments as well. I try to reply to as many comments as I can in my video, so any help is always appreciated. And if you like what I do here, please give a like, always good too. But I love just hearing from you. If this video has inspired you in any sort of way to try out gouache yourself, it's one of the reasons I also do my YouTube videos, is to try and inspire people to give other things a try. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm definitely not a person who tries things a lot. I stick with my comfort zone sort of things and don't really try. But doing YouTube and that really helps let me step outside my comfort zone, because I want to try and do something, whether it be a total disaster or if it turns out alright, or like this, I find a new medium I'm interested in. It gives me something more exciting and reinvigorates my art skills and abilities, and it really helps get me excited for doing more projects. And that's what I try to do here on my channel, of course, is to try and inspire people and get them out of their comfort zones, give them something different to try, maybe something new to see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start wrapping up the video here, and you can see here I'm going to finish it off with a nice little bird sitting on our fence, and I'm going to go into those glamour shots and see how it came out. And there you have it, everyone. This here is my first attempt into using the medium of gouache. So I hope this video has been interesting for you, to seeing how gouache works and how you can use it in your own artwork, and seeing how I'm slowly trying to level up my art skills as well by trying new mediums, and hopefully it'll give you some inspiration as well into trying out some new mediums of yourself. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, whether you want to follow along with what I've done here, or you just want to use the videos for inspiration in your own artwork. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.